Hi, this is a quick video introducing Dungeon Raider, which is a game I'm developing, and it's a NetHack Rogue clone. So very simple, ASCII only graphics, very simple audio, no music. It's based around 100 levels. There's NPCs. It's turn-based. So if you know NetHack and Rogue, this is an example of the sort of graphics. This is not the game. This is an example of the kind of graphics that you get for NetHack and Rogue. So it's as I say, it's turn-based, ASCII only character set, very simple. The idea of the game really is to try and provide a focus on gameplay. There's going to be 100 levels, so it's going to be quite deep. So the idea is there'll be lots and lots of gameplay opportunities with keys and doors and traps and treasure and food and NPC monsters to fight, and the scenery to navigate and all the rest of it. So I wanted to focus not on the graphics, not on the sound necessarily, but on very simple AI and on level design. And also to provide 100 levels is a pretty rare thing when you're talking about games on 8-bit platforms. Games are generally a lot smaller than that. So yeah, that's the central theme behind it. So initially, I'm targeting the Acorn BBC Micro. So that's my machine of choice. The BBC Micro, the Apple II and the C64 all have common disk drives available. So it's normal to have games delivered on floppy disk. That's great. In future releases, I might even look at the Auric Spectrum and MSX machine and possibly the Amstrad 464. I put 6128 on there. I mean, that does support discs, but that's 3-inch discs, and who needs the hassle? So initially, the BBC, and then hopefully the Apple II and C64 disc versions of that. And then in the future, if I can condense the game even more and actually deliver it on tape, that would be fantastic on the Auric Spectrum, MSX and Amstrad. That would be brilliant. That is a much longer term plan. So the idea of the development process for this and the language chosen, I looked at the various options, 6502, assembler, so or C, Pascal or Basic. I chose Basic, which is an odd choice for a game in some ways, but less so when you consider it's a turn-based, fairly simple turn-based game with no graphics in quotes because it's using the ASCII character set, simple sound effects, and using the BBC Basic for SDL. That's fantastic. The IDE is really easy to use, and I found that to be brilliant. I mean, I'll give you a quick run through of that in a minute, but it's really nice. It's an easy way of coding and debugging, and it means that for the most part you can copy and paste that BBC code out of the IDE into a BBC emulator, so the debug cycle is cool. Where it becomes a bit more challenging is, of course, running on your Windows machine. It's ludicrously quick compared to a BBC. So there's always some kind of tweaking you've got to do. A lot of the work and the tips that I've been coming out with recently, optimizations, have been born out of this development process for this game, trying to squeeze every last clock cycle out of it and remove things we don't need. So that's informed a lot of the design choices in the game. As part of the development process, what I've done is created a bunch of tools to help with the level creation, compilation, analysis, and also the text screen. So here's a couple of examples of levels being generated. So they come as source text files, and then it does some analysis of that. So here it's finding the entrance level or a map called entrance, and it's found at the start and end of the map. That's all fine. Then it checks the map for various things. So in this case, it says there's a low food to NPC ratio. So that could mean that this level is too difficult. So there's only 2 pieces of food versus 4 bad guys. So that's potentially giving a hint that this level may be too difficult to play. It's only a hint, but it also has things like there's no entry to the level, there's no exit to them from the level, there are not enough keys for the number of doors, that kind of thing. So there are some analytical parts which would mean that that level's not playable, and it would pick that up automatically. Other things are more advisory, and it may be that later on we have to tune these things a little bit to make it either harder or easier. The other thing is about the text screens. So I've removed all of as much static text as I can from the game code itself. So that is all loaded from disk. In terms of source control, the slight problem we have with using the BBC Basic SDL is it's stored as .bbc file, which is itself a ASCII but also a tokenized binary file. So you can see a lot of the ASCII text, but there's a lot of tokenized non-printable characters in there, which means that it doesn't lend itself easily to diff in source control. I've been relying on a lot of manual source control, version control, I should say, processes using Google Drive, and that is kind of okay. I really want a better way of doing this. I've got to find a better way, because doing the merging is really, really tricky. So I've been keeping a history of file changes as I go. It's not what I do in my normal job where you have proper audit tracking and version control. But hey, this is a basic program, and it's not that big actually. It's ended up being about 6K, which is really quite good. It started at about 10K, and has gradually whittled it down to 6K. So this is an idea of the packaging. Now, one of the central things about this is I want to deliver this as a package, as an actual boxed product. Yes, you can download it and all that sort of stuff. I could go down that road. Fantastic. I don't want that. What I actually want is to be able to ship a physical box. Here's an example of The Hobbit on BBC. So this is actually a physical box with a manual. The media tape in this case is there with a branded label on it. The box has artwork on it. So you can see here there's the Dungeon Raider bit, BBC Micro version, is shown with the artwork as you'd see it on the box. And inside is the manual, which tells you a little bit of the backstory of the game and the controls and other bits of information. So the box, the artwork, the disc, the booklet, all that's done and ready to go. There are some challenges with the release. Part of the issue is the cost of the actual box itself. I don't want this to be a high cost item. I want it to be as low cost as possible. The idea is I want to get it out there and people to buy it and put it on their shelf and look at it and think, oh, that's nice. It's actually new media, as if it's back in the 80s, a real retro thing. But at the moment, the cost of the boxes are prohibitively large. So I need to find a solution to that, which is good and the box doesn't look naff. A lot of the flat pack boxes that you end up with tabs visible and stuff and holes in the box, just doesn't look very premium. But I need to come up with a solution to that and make it as cost effective as possible. In terms of the release, I need to do some play testing. So the idea at the moment is I'm shortly going to go into alpha testing, which will probably be using the Windows emulator for that. So package it up as a Windows executable, and that will probably be 10 levels or so out of the 100. And that would enable some basic play testing and bug testing. So once I've done that, I go into beta testing of the whole game, and that will probably be a delivery of the .ssd file, or possibly shipping on disk, I'm not sure. I've got to figure that out. I need to make sure the NDAs are right and all that good stuff. But the beta will be the full game. So then the feedback from that will then go into the final release. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but we'll see. So let's have a quick look at the game itself. Not particularly, not a particularly smooth transition but there you go. Hang on, let me get the right one. So let's open that. So this is the editor itself. So here's the game itself, the current alpha release. So you click to go new, levels loaded in, and you can see here this character that's moving, that's you, and as you move through the level, the monsters move around, and then you can go and pick up keys, treasure, set traps off, things like that. So this is really to test the basic game mechanics. I'm going to go and attack a monster here. So I've just killed him. I didn't actually get any experience on that. He did knock some of my health off because I picked up some food. So let's go and attack this guy. There you go. And now I've got some experience as well. So I've vanquished my opponent. So anyway, this is going to have to go through some extensive testing. Obviously, with 100 levels, there's quite a lot to test. And I'm refining as I go. So that's it for now. Hopefully you enjoyed that quick presentation. And I'm going to come back with a deeper dive into some of the technology that I've used to create it, to test it, to do the analysis for the map compilation, and how I package it all up for an actual floppy to run initially on the BBC. A quick point is one of the main reasons why I chose BASIC on this is the ease. Well, I say that, and that might be naive, but the ease of porting to other platforms. One of the main problems of jumping into a C or assembler is if there are any disk I/O requirements, and there are for this, certainly for the Apple II and the C64 version. In order for that to work, there's potentially quite a lot of effort required in either C or assembler to actually make it happen, and that's going to increase the development time massively. If I can use as common a code base as possible in BASIC, fantastic, and then I plug in the bits as I need for disk I/O. Anyway, that's enough for now. So check back again and I'll give you further updates. Thanks a lot. Cheers.